Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me in this space. It's a pleasure, an honor.
The pleasure is mine. Greetings, Christina. Greetings.
Yes, greetings.
Wholeness. How are you feeling today?
I, oh, that's a very interesting question to ask. I am feeling scattered, and at the same time, I'm like pulling my energy in and calling it into this space. So, yes.
Okay. So pulling your energy in, calling it in, when you feel scattered, what do you feel like helps you in those moments? Because I believe it's very human, it's very relatable. It's very resonant, to feel that way. But what are some of the ways that you pull your energy in?
Yes. So right now, and I have some incense going. I also burned a bit of Palo Santo. Sometimes I'll have music playing so that when I do feel scattered and I feel like I'm everywhere, it can bring me to this present moment. Smelling the aromatherapy and then also breathing is very helpful for me as well.
Yeah, yeah. My goodness, when it comes to, breathing and bringing yourself back to that present moment, the present moment, they talk about the gift, you know.
Yes.
So when you're embracing the gift that allows you to shift and allows you to lift, yourself out of being so scattered, with all the brain chatter, like what do you feel like the breath has given you in life when it comes to that? Because a lot of people, I mean, we're always breathing, all of us, we're breathing all the time, but how are we breathing? When did you become aware and cognizant of how you were actually breathing?
Yes, I honestly am not sure. I'm always the person who says I am who I've always been, and I've done what I've always been doing.
Mhm.
And so I can't remember the first time that I recognized my breath consciously. I think from a young child, just being able to look at myself from the observer's point of view, spending time in nature
Mhm.
definitely helps me to acknowledge, wow, there's breathing happening and I don't even have to do anything. And I can see the breath moving in everything around me. So, yes.
Yes. I just watched and I just saw a study. It talked about in Japan, there's a Japanese culture or custom in Japan called forest bathing. I think it's
Mm.
called
Ooh.
shin. Say again?
I just said woof, I got chills because right before the call, I wrote down nature therapy. But before I wrote down nature therapy, I wanted to write down nature bathing.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes, it's in alignment. Yes.
You're in alignment, you're in alignment, the assignment,
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's called Shin Ryo Yoku or Shin Yoku Ryo, some combination of those Japanese words. But
Mhm.
it equates to forest bathing, and doctors will even prescribe, they'll write out a prescription, to give to the patient to go out into nature, you know.
Yes.
Go bathe in the forest, because they say the forest is for rest.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I actually spent 5 days in solitude in the jungle in a tent, and I camped out. My goal was to do 7 days by myself, but I did five because by the fifth day, I was astral traveling, and I wasn't used to going places. And I was by myself. I was also fasting or feasting on fruit. So it was a very grounding experience, and it really allowed me to go deeper into the present moment. No noise, city noise, just nature, everything natural, the stream, the birds, the bugs, the spiders, the snakes,
Yeah.
every single thing, and just me in a tent. So,
Oh my gosh. You are, sheesh. You know what I'm saying? Like taking it back to ancestral,
yes.
taking it back to the ancestors. you know, pitching a tent, camping in a jungle. Now, was this you and Jordan, or just
This
you and
was
your
before
solitude?
I met Jordan.
Okay, before you even met.
Yeah, before I met Jordan, I I decided to camp in the jungle. And at this time, I was coming from the States. I had never left the country, only to go to Jamaica for a vacation and go on a cruise and things like that. But this particular instance, I just felt so dirty from city life and from just being in the world. I felt like I just needed to go to a place to where I could be washed clean and I could just wash all of my sins away, all of the confusion of the mind, the mental chatter, somewhere where I could hear my own voice. And for me, that was deep in the jungle, in the Corcovado dos Brazos jungle in Costa Rica. And near some of the most pristine water. I was on top of a mountain, so I had to go deep into the jungle and actually hike up for about an hour to actually get to the camping spot. And it's a very remote area.
Mhm.
And yes, I pitched a tent, and I mean, the clarity that I got, I highly, highly recommend if anyone has an opportunity to do something like that, maybe not as extreme as what I did, but for a few days to just sit with themselves and it's just them, I highly recommend that
Yeah.
experience.
Thank you for that testimony and that recommendation, Christina, because, you know, when you say not as extreme, why would you call it extreme?
Because I'm just around my family and my friends, and I'm a Cancer, I'm a water sign, so I literally come into the space and a lot of things stick to me. And so those can be words or energies. So when I say extreme, I'm speaking from the space of hearing the voices of my family members and what they might consider as extreme, or even typical people that I meet on a day to day. I feel for as a person like yourself and some other people that I met around along my journey, it doesn't really seem to be extreme. They typically resonate with the energy. However, most of the time, the people that I encounter, it's a bit extreme for them.
No, I feel you. I feel you, you know, the real you, because, you know, we're both actually water signs. You know, I feel like that's another thing that I resonate with you. We're both water, you know.
Yes.
So, you know, my water sign, my sun sign, you know, people can definitely see me as a bit of an extremist. You know, they see me on the extreme side of the spectrum for
Yes.
sure. When it comes to I'm sure you can guess which sign I am.
I want to say Cancer, but I'm not really great at guessing. There's only three different water signs that you can be, and I'm getting Cancer or Pisces.
It's Scorpio.
Yeah, see, I'm not that
Yeah,
great at guessing signs.
it's all good. It's all good. For some reason, every time I say Scorpio, not to go off on a tangent, but do you know why? Can you tell me? Because Jordan was telling me that you're good with astrology. Why, whenever I tell somebody that I'm a Scorpio, they run for the hills, they take off running? Why? Can you tell me
Because
why?
it's based in it's rooted in their preconceived notions of what they've heard about what a Scorpio is. And so I like to say Scorpios are like looking in a dark hallway. You don't know what you're gonna get. Anything can pop out. And sometimes I feel Scorpios are very hard to read because Scorpios tend to be more reserved in their day to day. So as a person who's hard to read, coming from the other person's perspective, I don't know you. I can't read you. That's scary for some people. And so, yes, and then the people that have experienced Scorpios tend to be very passionate people, passionate lovers, you know. So, yes, that's probably why people run. But in my opinion, I think that everyone should give every sign a chance because every sign has their light and their darkness. You know, as you know, that's the yin and the yang that encompasses us all. So, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that validation. I feel that, thank you for the validation and that vibration. You hear that, everybody? Do y'all hear that? Give Scorpios a chance, okay?
Yes.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scorpios are very loyal. You guys are very loyal. That's why you're so passionate. And I know when I look at astrology, when I think about astrology, I'm not only looking at the things that I've read online, I'm also looking at the experiences, my own personal experiences in my life, and also the experiences of others. So I'm taking in all of this information along with this experience and like looking for different patterns. And from my own reality and experiences that I've had, all of the Scorpios that I know are so like they love their families. They will go to war for the people that they love and for the things that they love, and they are passionate people. However, you cross a Scorpio, typically an evolved Scorpio, they'll just go the other way. They'll just go the other way, and you just won't hear from them, and that will be the end. However, a Scorpio who's still in their lower nature, you do not want to mess with that type of Scorpio. So this is just all based, it's real life. So it's all based in experience along with the information that I've just picked up.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, when you said that, just the feeling, your energy frequency of your voice, the way your tonality was, Christina, when you said the lower nature Scorpio you don't want to mess with, it sounded like you had personal experience. Is that right?
Personal experience and then also experience from afar. So
From a
yeah,
distance.
yeah, from a distance.
Okay. And that led you to conclude, yeah,
Yes, what I said.
got it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so it's interesting because going back to your time, spending time 5 days and nights in the jungle, camping in your solace, in your solitude, getting away from the violence, embracing your silence, letting go of the illness, embracing that stillness.
Yes.
Within Costa Rica, I've been in Costa Rica a couple of times. Puerto Viejo, I stayed there. La Playa Negra, it was beautiful,
Yes.
but never in the mountains. I mean, I've been in the Guanacaste region, but you're talking about the jungle. You
Yes.
said the
The
mountain.
Corcovado jungle, I've seen the most poisonous snake in the world. I've encountered that snake.
What?
It is a different reality.
What? Wait. Can you talk about that encounter?
Yes, so it was May 2nd, one of my close friends' birthday. We were at this waterfall, and we all went up the waterfall. It's a very narrow pathway to get up to the waterfall. And the snake was actually sitting on a rock, but none of us saw the snake, even though we all had to pass the snake to get to the top of the waterfall. And we were all in the waterfall, in the water. And one of the members of the group, their dog sniffed the snake. So the dog was at the base of the waterfall.
Yeah.
It sniffed the snake and the snake bit the dog. They took the dog to a local indigenous, how do you say, like one of the people in the community, their homes. They gave the dog some type of plant medicine, and the dog was okay. However, because one of the owners of the dog was a bit worried, they decided to take the dog to the in-town vet. And so once the dog went to the vet, I don't know what the vet did, but the dog transitioned.
Oh.
And so we had to, we always, the dog's name was Shinzi. So we always like give thanks to Shinzi because we had to go down the waterfall and we all had to pass by this snake. I believe the snake was the Fer de Lance snake. So we all had to pass, or was it Fer de Lance? I don't know if that's a spider or if it's a snake. I don't know. But we all had to pass by this snake to get down to leave the waterfall. And so we just think that maybe if we came down and like we didn't know that the snake was there because it was blending in with the rock, it could have been one of us. So we give thanks to Shinzi.
So he took it. He took it for the group. Yeah.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. When you're talking about, taking Shinzi to the indigenous, to the medicine woman or the medicine people, the village shaman, or whoever was in the village. And then you said he was all right, he was good, but then later on they felt a little bit more concerned, a little bit more worried, and then they were in a hurry to take him over in a flurry to the modern day veterinarian.
Yes.
And that's where he transitioned. Like, it feels like there's a message in there. What was that message for you, Christina, seeing that happen?
Yes, nature is, and this message comes to me time and time again, but nature is home, it's a solution. Um, yes, the earth provides for us, and that's enough. I don't know about these modern concoctions that they make and how they isolate ingredients and how that works for our DNA, because everything is information. And so when you start to isolate things, it causes confusion because these things we ingest and it confuses our DNA. So what do we do with those things? And if you're in a space to where, you know, the dog literally got bit by a poisonous snake. And so ingesting things or taking things that are confusing in a state where it's already vulnerable, it could have, again, that's probably why the dog transitioned. So
Wow, wow. Thank you for that assessment. We need these reminders, and just to understand that nature always provides. Nature always provides. And you definitely seem, Christina, like you were provided for. You definitely seem like you were divinely protected, divinely guided, and
yes.
just, being out there 5 days camping in the jungle around some of the poisonous, snakes, organisms, around some of the wildest terrain. What gave you the feeling and what gave you the knowing that you were protected wherever you were going?
Yes. Oh, I just got chills. When I left the States, it's so hard for me to tell my story because a few months before I left the States, I actually had this profound psilocybin mushroom experience where I came to the awareness that I was everything and everything was me. And from that moment, I quit the 2 jobs that I had. I left the toxic relationship that I was in, moved back home with my mom, and I started this job. And I started to get these downloads or uploads or insights or premonitions, whatever. I started to receive messages. And this is around before COVID started to happen.
Okay.
So I'm showing everyone, hey, do you see what's happening? Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Long story short, I left the country 2 weeks before everything shut down.
Okay, before the lockdown.
Before the
Okay.
lockdown, 2 weeks. And for me, I was more afraid of what was happening in America that honestly, I just give it up to the Almighty, the thing that connects us all, the thing that unifies everything and just knows. I give it to that because I didn't have any type of fear going into the jungle. No fear. And I had plenty of family. I'm a woman, a young woman at that. I believe I was 24, a young woman from Kentucky. So I had plenty of fear being projected on me from my family about my current endeavor, especially since it was last minute. However, I didn't have any fear. And it was like my body was moving by itself. So to go to the jungle, that was nothing. And then also too, I had cultivated myself so that being in literally, I've had experiences of grabbing snakes and the snakes hovering in front of my face. And I never had any fear. And again, I just never thought that these animals were going to harm me. Because when you live a life where you do your best, you go out of your way to do good, life does that for you. And I'm going to pause for a second because my baby's waking up. So I'm going to grab her, okay?
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Of course. Blessing. Shout out to Zion.
Okay, we're
Shout out
back.
to Zion. Zion. Much love. Much love.
So,
Beautiful.
yes, when you live a life where you do your best to do no good, life mirrors you back to you. And that's the part that we have to learn. So, I never had any fear because at that time, my heart was light.
Okay.
So,
Light.
yes.
Like Jordan told us the last time we spoke with Jordan, light as a feather, having the heart be light as a feather. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's important. It's interesting when you talk about psilocybin, when you talk about the experiences where some people would call it, psychedelics, some people hallucinogens, some people plant medicine, you know? Why do you feel like it affects people so differently where some people like yourself, Christina, will have such a spiritual awakening where you just know that you are all that is, like you are everything and everything is you. And then the next person might go crazy and they don't know what to do, you know?
I think everyone's path is just different. And honestly, I've just always been a spiritually in tune person. And I just, even my first time taking psilocybin mushrooms, I almost had a bad experience. I was seeing maggots, and I was seeing like blood and guts, and I had a friend who told me, just be the observer. Had he not said that and told me to just observe, I probably would have gone crazy. So lucky for me, I had a person who was able to guide me through the experience. And so by the second time that I tried, it was a more beautiful experience. Pardon me.
You're fine.
It was a more beautiful experience. And then by the third time, that's when I had that profound experience of, wow, I am everything and everything is me. And that experience was, by the second time I did the psilocybin mushrooms, there was something about it that made me want to go deeper, because by the second time I realized that the intrusive thoughts that I had were gone. I am a Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon, and Gemini Rising, and I have a lot of Gemini placements in my chart, astrology chart. In Geminis, it's so much twin energy, thoughts coming so fast. And so for me, all of my life, I always had these intrusive thoughts. And so when I had the second experience, and I'm like, wow, I don't have these thoughts anymore. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to discover what that was. So by the third time, my entire reality disappeared, and I felt one with every single thing. And I realized that I am the captain of this ship. What do I want to do? What is the calling on my life? And ever since then, I fell in love with mushrooms. They are, I don't even know. There's so many different ways that I can describe it. However, I think you have to be open and receptive to it. If you already made your mind up about what you think it is, then, pardon me,
You're good. You're
then
good.
it will, I feel like your reality will reflect that.
Right.
And to be honest, I think a lot of people approach it from too much of a logical standpoint. They get information over here, information over there, and there's so much confusion, so that when they do take it, they overthink it.
Yeah.
Versus me, again, I'm a Cancer, so I like the way that things make me feel. And so when I experience something and I'm like, wow, it makes me feel an all over good feeling. It makes me feel whole. It makes me feel spiritually sound. I want to explore what that is. And so, not saying that that's the best thing, because it comes at a cost. But I think for the people who just have negative experiences with it, from my own perspective, I feel that it's attributed to just them overthinking
Okay.
the
So it's the mind.
experience. Yeah.
It's the mind. Okay. Thank you for that. Just the differentiating the two and just really sharing your story on that and really sharing your knowledge, your wisdom and expertise for, communing and working with the medicine, because I feel like you're right, Christina. It's the consciousness, it's the mind, it's also, like you said, being open to it, being receptive, within the collective, having perspective, you
Yes.
know, like that can be a lot more protective when you have that perspective and the objective. You're doing it with
Yes.
intention. When you're in these other dimensions, you need to have that intention, right? So, it reminds me of a story. One of my good friends, she was telling me that she had an experience where she was with a partner at the time, and the two of them, they did a large dosage, like a fairly large dose, maybe what people would call like a pretty big dose of psilocybin.
Yes.
And they were in like New Jersey, New York, somewhere, but they were off the beaten path. And he was taking her to what he thought was like water. They were going through, they had to go through forest, and then they went through this tall grass, and they were trying to get to the water. And he kept telling her, like, I know where the water is, we're gonna get there. But then of
Yes.
course, at a certain point, the medicine kicked in, and they're still walking. And it's kicking in even more, they're still walking, it's heightening even more, they're still walking. And at a certain point, they still hadn't gotten to the water. And the sun had gone down, the moon was up, it was getting dark, it was pitch black. And she told him that the plants were talking to her. The plants told them, hey, we need to turn around, like we need to go back.
Yes.
And so she told him, like, hey, the plants are talking to me, they're telling us we need to turn around, we need to go back, we don't need to keep going, this is not where we're supposed to be right now. And so he trusted her, but then at a certain point he just stopped. And he was, the masculine was no longer the guide, because there was a lot going on inside. So he just stopped, and he was like, I don't know where we're going. She was like, what's wrong? He said, I think I'm lost. So she had to take the lead. The divine feminine had to take the lead, and she had to guide him through the pitch black, through the forest, on her bare feet. And she said that the mycelium network, like the network of nature, was guiding them. Even though she couldn't see anything, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, she guided them all the way back to their vehicle. They pressed the button, they got back into their car, and she drove them back home. I don't know how she drove, but she drove them back, you know? She got them back to safety.
And that's a powerful story, because once you take the medicine, it just breaks down um, mental barriers that we just don't even know that we have. Like, I really like how you said the feminine has a guide. Being in the darkness, I think that's a great way to describe feminine energy. And so, and then also, I feel that with the mushrooms, it really does help to strengthen one's intuition. And so that's a powerful story, and I have so many stories like that as well, with the mushrooms. And I think you just have to be open and receptive to the messages that come from nature. Sometimes it can be scary. Whoa, how do I know this? I didn't study this. I don't think I heard it from anyone, but how do I know this? And can we trust ourselves enough to trust that when those messages come up, that we can allow them and surrender to them and just move?
Right.
So,
Right.
yes.
I agree. I agree. So, Christina, when you were, spending that 5 days in the jungle, you said that you were astral projecting. Now, this was sober. You weren't under the influence of any substance, and
No.
you astral projected. Can you talk about that perspective when you astral projected? How did that even come about? How did that initiate?
I think just the vibration of the earth. And I was also fasting. I was eating only fruit.
Okay.
So I was very light in my energetic body,
Mm.
and also just emotionally, spirit. I was very light at that time. And I was also in a space to where I was feeling the need to completely surrender. Again, I had this consciousness awareness that I want to go to the jungle. I want to wash away all my sins, all of the confusion, every single thing. um, I want to get to the core of who I am.
Mm.
So every single night, I was giving up fear. I was, whatever was coming up, I was giving it up.
Yeah.
I no longer want to attach to this thought, to this emotion.
Mm.
So by the fourth night, or maybe the fifth night, the day that I ended it, um, I thought I guess I knew I was dreaming, but I guess I thought I was awake, and I was outside of my tent, walking towards my tent, and I realized that I was inside of the tent in the dream. I realized my body's inside of there, but how am I outside? How am I
Right.
walking towards my tent? That scared the heck out of me. I was doing everything to wake up after that moment. That
Wow.
scared me so much. Um, but yeah, that's basically what happened. I was
Okay.
walking outside of the tent. I was looking at where I was sleeping, and I didn't see my face. I just saw the tent, and I saw a light because I had
Okay.
a candle lit. So I saw the light in the tent, and I saw my body outline and stuff. So
Mm.
yeah, that was
When
my experience.
when you're seeing your own body, like when you're witnessing yourself outside of your body, but like seeing it from that vantage point, from that, angle, what does that give you? Like, does that give you a feeling? Well, you did say that you were afraid. You did say that you were scared and you were trying to get out of that state, right?
Yes, during that time I was very afraid. However, I've had other experiences. So with astral projection, so I'm not too afraid of it now.
Right. Does it get you comfortable with, you know, like you said before, earlier when you talked about Shinzi, you said that Shinzi transitions, you
Yes,
know? And we know that at a certain point in time, we all transition. We go to the next. Does it get you comfortable with that transition when you've technically already transitioned?
I believe so. I believe that it connects you more with something that is beyond the flesh and the body, even beyond the mind. Because when I awoke in the dream to what was happening, my mind went crazy. So at that point, I was beyond the mind. So I do believe that experiences such as what I experienced really do prepare you for transitioning, or like one of my friends likes to say, transforming.
Transforming,
Yes.
transforming. So would you say that you have shed that fear? Because that's, I mean, in today's age, of course, so many people have that fear. They say like a few fears are at the top of the totem pole. One of them is what you're doing right now, public speaking. Some people are more afraid of public speaking than there are the transformation or the transition. But would you say like you've shed that fear?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think that it depends on what time you ask me, what period of my life you ask me, because I think it depends on attachment. And if you're super attached to the material world, then yes, sometimes in the moments where I'm super attached to the material world, especially now that I'm a mom, there are certain fears that come up for me around transforming. But ultimately, I think that when I quiet all of that dialogue, the core of me is not afraid. The core of me knows that I'm always here. I've always been here. We are ancient beings in DNA. And so, and we're a part of this entire, whatever we want to call it, we're a part of it. We're in it. So there's nowhere that we can go. We've always been here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I want to touch on what you said about going there. When you said you were trying to wash away your sin, you know, like I was raised in the church, being from the South as well. I'm from South Carolina. You're from Kentucky. I was raised Christian in the church, they have a concept of sins, being a sinner, being born a sinner. And when you say you were going there to wash away your sins, how do you feel about that word today? Has the connotation or the relation around that word changed for you over the years?
Yes, to me, it symbolizes confusion.
Okay.
Thought forms and frequencies that I have picked up that are not in alignment with my highest expression, or what this I say this grand almighty energy has called me to be. So anything that tries to deter me away from seeing myself as the creator has created me, those are sins to me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Confusion. Anything that tries to distract you.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So we're not gaining traction when we're in distraction. You know,
Exactly.
when we're in forms of satisfaction, and when we're in distraction, that's like the counteraction to gaining that traction. I
Yes.
like that. I like that. I love that, Christina. Man, when you're talking about this, you give me so many thoughts because, just even thinking about astral projection, lucid dreaming, like all these things that we think about when we're in these different modes of operation, and also the message of detachment. You talked about, like, of course, people are afraid to detach from their body, but even more so, people are afraid to detach from the things that we consume on a daily basis. So when it came to fasting, you were fruit fasting. When did fasting come into the fold for you, and how did that really impact your life in the way that you knew that it was time to let go? I can only imagine, being from Kentucky, like, how much of a challenge was it for you to start fasting?
Oh yes, it was a huge challenge coming from the family that I come from. But it wasn't that much of a challenge for me because I've always been who I've always been. So I've always done these things in little ways where if it was like going natural for the first time and being the only woman in my family who's natural, the only woman in my historically black high school that's natural, or predominantly black high school that's natural with my hair texture. So starting small like that was a huge step. So by the time it got to telling my parents don't want to eat meat anymore, they just said, "Oh, that's Christina just being Christina," and they didn't think that it was gonna last long. But by the time I went to college and I gained 30 pounds my first semester of college.
Whoa.
I thought it was going to be 15. They said the freshman 15, it was the freshman 30 for me. So by that time, I said I cannot be this big. That's when I started to try different weight loss
Yeah.
regimens and stuff like that. And I did fasting here and there. But I always wanted something that was going to be sustainable. I caught on very early that what I'm doing, taking diet teas and cleanses, it's not going to be sustainable. I'm just going to gain the weight back. So how can I change my lifestyle so that I don't even have to worry about this? And that's when I came across things of Banana Girl and High Carb Hannah and different people on the internet that were talking about, hey, you can eat whatever you want on a vegan lifestyle and you're not going to gain weight. And so I tried that, and then that's when I started to get into water fasting and fruit only, doing Banana Island, eating only bananas for 5 days. I never gone beyond 5 days, but water fasting for 7 days, Banana Island for 5 days, only eating fruit. And I think in the beginning for me, to be completely honest, it was about weight loss. I wasn't thinking about spiritual experiences. I wanted to lose that 30 pounds that I gained my freshman year. And so, honestly, I think it wasn't until I had that experience of the mushrooms that that awakened my spiritual nature. And then that's when I started to use food as medicine. I was already vegan. I was already trying different things, but I became more conscious and intentional after that point.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So that's when things came in because no worries, Zion is crying out. It's all
Yeah,
good.
she wants to put her 2 cents. She's a speaker. She's definitely a speaker like me and her dad. So
Yeah. She takes after her mama. Yeah, she does. Oh man, I love it. You know, how did you feel, if you can go back, Christina, and recall, how did you feel when you finally stepped on that scale and it was gone? Like the weight you had shed, all the layers. Like, how did you feel in your body? How did you feel in your spirit? How did you feel in your heart when it was no longer?
yes, I felt amazing. And it was empowering that, especially when I did the 6 or 7 day water fast, it felt so empowering that, as Americans, especially, we're so used to just putting food in our mouths that I didn't eat nothing for 7 days. And then when I did a dry fast, 3 day dry fast, I didn't eat anything for 3 days or drink water. And so it felt so empowering to me. Like I could do anything. And then also the silence that I felt and experienced in my entire being, like the equilibrium, the harmony that I was
Yeah.
very light energetically. So I felt so close to everything. And I felt soft and I felt gentle. And my heart was just open.
Yeah. Yeah. My goodness, when you're talking about going 7 days, like you said, 7 days on water and then 3 days no water, when you're going that distance with prolonged fasting, and these things that are long lasting, a lot of people generally, the average population, they consider that death. Like that's it. You're gone. You've transitioned. You're transforming. You know, they think that if you don't go without food for a certain amount of time, that's it. You're out of here. It's game over.
And that's
So
true. That's true. It's game over for that version of you that was attached to whatever you were attached to not get to that point to where you can say, oh, I can do this. Whatever fear that resides in a person to where they don't want to take that next step, take that leap of faith, it is death to that version. And so when people hear it, it makes their body cringe, But do you have the courage to go through the fire, to do something uncomfortable and not be forced to do it? Not have to not eat because you just don't got no food. I've had that experience too. But not eat when you have abundance, super abundance. And you're making that decision that I'm not going to put anything in my mouth because I want to hear silence, or I want to connect deeper with myself, or I want to connect deeper with God, or whatever you want to, whatever you believe in. I want to get focused. I want to be here.
yes,
That takes discipline. That's an art. That's an unspoken art.
yes, it is. It really is. And I love that you put it that way. I love that you phrase it that way. And it's just, like you said, it's courageous. Some people think it's outrageous, but your energy is contagious. It's
Yes.
courageous. Like it really is brave. And they say that courage, there is no courage without fear, you know? Like courage is not the absence of fear. It's being able to do the thing in spite of your fear, even though the fear is here, even though it might be near, you're still here.
Yes.
You're still here.
Yes.
So I just love that differentiation, like where you're saying, hey, yeah, it is game over for your old version, for the old Christina. It's
Yes.
game over. Like this is the new Christina. This is Christina 3.0, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I love that. I
Yes.
love that. So what a message, what a message for people who are thinking to themselves, maybe I should take that next step. She put on 30 pounds and she's lost it. It's gone, and she's in a whole new wavelength, a whole new frequency, and you've changed what you frequently see because you changed what you consume. What goes in is what comes out. Like they say, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
So being able to fast when you have abundance, being able to fast in that situation, you're fasting more from inspiration instead of desperation.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So what a beautiful, what a beautiful angle, what a beautiful just a way of looking at things. I really like that because this is what we need. A lot of people that, like myself, they're used to Burger King, they're used to McDonald's, they're used to Popeyes, they're used to KFC, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't think that they could ever survive or even thrive without it. And
Yes.
you're just a living embodiment, a living testimony. You and Jordan and
Yes.
Lil Zion there. I love that you're raising, Zion to show the world what's possible.
Exactly. And you just have to want it. Like
Yeah.
in the Bible, it says you have to have faith of a mustard seed. Just a little bit of faith, and I just always prayed in my own alone time, no matter how my beliefs shift, whatever I was interested in, what religion or whatever school of thought, I always maintained prayer. I always prioritized praying and just saying what I wanted, speaking what I want. And what I wanted was to be clear, to have clarity, digestive clarity, mental clarity, financial, emotional clarity, relationship clarity. And when I was in college, before I went to college, I was a vegetarian. My freshman year of college, I had a meal plan. I grew up very sheltered as well. So I had so much freedom. I had this meal plan. I was eating whatever, and I didn't have anyone to tell me, hey, you can't have that. And so when I experienced that weight gain and also that shift in identity as well, and I started to do these fasts, I just felt like I have to find out a way to get this weight off. I can't make excuses for myself because I'm grown now. I can't blame my parents, so I have to do something. And I was eating Taco Bell, I was eating McDonald's, I was eating all of these different things. And I noticed that every single time that I fast, I had a lower tolerance for the bullcrap. And that's something that people don't realize, that fasting is so beautiful that though it is very, very challenging, if you can do it and get through it and you go back and you eat the stuff that you know is not good for you, you will see how it makes your body feel.
You'll see the difference.
You will experience that. You will experience the mental fog. You will feel, fasting will have you so high on life. Like, you will feel like a child. Like, that pain in your knee, gone. That crook in your neck, gone. Those headaches, gone. You will feel so much clarity and love for yourself and for others that once you start putting things in your mouth, you will start to see the connection that you are what you eat. And a lot of these corporations are doing witchcraft on our digestive systems because there is a connection between the gut and the brain. They say the gut is actually the first brain. And so you want to be sure that you're not irritating your gut by what you're eating. And the fastest way to transition that is through fasting. Fasting will give you the clarity that you need to know. And if you go back and you eat bullcrap again, you'll probably be led. You'll feel so bad that I need to do another fast. Yeah. And then you just get into the cycle of going back, fasting, going back, fasting. And it's like a scale. And you do so much fasting that you get to a point where you're like, I can't keep doing this back and forth no more. I have to make a decision. And so that's where I am, 11 years of being vegan. And it wasn't easy. It was very challenging to control what I put in my mouth. I have a young baby. She wants to put everything in her mouth. And I have to teach her, no, we don't put that in the mouth, and she's only 9 months old, so there's only so much that she understands.
Right.
So this is biological for us to put things into our mouths. And we have to practice the art of fasting and discipline so that we are not, I like to say, hijacked by corporations who want to project, I don't even know how to say this, who want their ingredients in our digestive tract so that we crave them, so that we can become, so that we can continue to consume whatever it is that they give us.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, you're on point. You're right on target, you know. And I love the conviction and just the power in your words, Christina, as you're speaking, because it comes from just the heart space and not the head
living
space.
the experience.
Yeah.
I've lived this, so
You've
I
lived it.
know.
Yeah, it shows. It really does show. And you know, when you even talk about witchcraft and just, you know, these scientific lab experiments, you know, we become the guinea pigs when we're in the participation of the laboratory scientific experiment. You know, these alchemical concoctions and these potions and these, you know, we're not raising the energy quotient when we're consuming all of these potions. You know?
Exactly.
So it makes complete sense. Like when I talked or when I saw, you know, videos on, you know, they will get like like doctors in the neuroscience field or neurosurgeons or people who can look at a chart or look at a graph or look at you know, the brain and see the bliss point. They call it the bliss point, Christina, where somebody will eat a product or they put a drop of something on somebody's tongue, and you know, if it has the right amount of salt or, you know, sugar or fat, the salt, sugar, and fat, you know, and once it hits that bliss point, they say, okay, put that on the shelf. You know, that's the one that we ship that out, and then they
Yes.
keep iterating and make the next one a little bit more, and then, you know, until they get something that you can't put down. Like, you know, there used to be a saying for potato chips: once you pop, you just can't stop, you know?
Exactly. You can't eat one. You can't eat one potato chip.
You just can't eat one, you know? Once you pop, you just can't stop. So you mentioned something very key, Christina, that a lot of people have questions about, which is you said, I'm a grown woman. I can't blame it on my parents. You know, I can't blame it on my parents anymore. I'm grown now. So what advice do you have for people who may still be at home with their parents and they feel like they don't have a certain amount of control, they have an expectation, or they're in a situation with their relations that's a lot of frustration? What advice do you have for them?
Yes, the advice that I would have based on my lived experience, if you have a job, I think I had my first job at 14 and then my first on the table job at 16. If you have a job, you can buy your own food. Um, that's what I did. Also, too, have those challenging dialogues with your family. My mom was a bit on the open-minded side, so when I told her I didn't want to eat meat anymore or I wanted to be pescatarian, she would literally make a meal and, you know, maybe she'll leave some shrimp or fish in it. And then whatever else she was going to put in it, she would just put to the side. So I was very blessed to have a mother like her who, you know, it just depends on the parents that you have, the family that you come from. Some people, it could be different. It could be more challenging, you know, for them. Some parents can feel like their child is just ungrateful for wanting to eat something different. So it really depends. But if you have a job, you can buy your own food. And also too, you can like nudge your parent a little bit. Like, can we at least get more fruit? You know? And so if you can't eat like fully plant-based like you want to, just prioritize, like, can we at least get bananas? Bananas are super cheap. Can we at least get some apples or oranges or whatever? Because I don't know what people's pockets look like in their homes. And sometimes that can be a thing where the parents would love, like a parent would love to give their child what they want. And sometimes it just comes down to the economics. So, you know, again, I say start with bananas. They're super cheap. And other fruits. And if you have the opportunity to get a job and you're still at home, get a job.
Yeah. That's great advice. So if if you can't go bananas, start with bananas.
Exactly. You can make it work. I didn't have money. I did not have money in college. I had $20, $20 to $30 a week. And I was getting so many bananas, potatoes, all of the cheap stuff, the
Mm,
things that could keep me full, oatmeal,
mm,
and you can make it work on 20 to 30. Oh, I don't know now. I don't think you can do that now. But back then, I was doing about 20 to $30 per week
mm.
on bananas. And it just takes discipline. You have to really want it. And also another thing is continue to watch videos that inspire you.
Yes.
Back then for me, it was Freely the Banana Girl, High Carb Hannah, Fully Raw Christina, Dr. Laila Africa.
Aris
Also
Latham.
reading different literature about what inspires you, because uh, it's not really about what you do physically. It's about changing up here first.
Yeah.
Once you lock this in, then as soon as you get out of your parents' house, then you can just take off.
There you
You
go.
know, and no matter where you go, you can make something work. Even at your parents' house, because typically some households do have like naturally plant-based items.
Hmm.
So like I would eat canned goods
Mm.
during back in the day, like in my mom's house, spinach and green beans and different things. I was eating out of the can. I was eating the beans and stuff like that. And so that could be a start. So yeah, lock in the mindset first, and then everything else is going to follow. You don't need to have a lot of variety when it comes to lifestyle, because honestly, the more simple everything is, the better. Because again, this is our gut, our brain that
Hmm.
we're talking about. So if you're trying to have all of these elaborate ingredients and just this complexity, it causes confusion. We have to digest all of this information,
Yeah.
and it affects our DNA, everything. So the simpler, the better. And so the simple stuff doesn't cost that much.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Food is information, and information is food. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely did go through my period, when I got away from animal products and just, animal flesh. I definitely did go through my own period of going through canned goods, a lot of canned goods, because I didn't know, until we know better, then we do better, you know?
Yes.
And it wasn't until I finally started looking at the labels that I became more willing and able, like looking at the label and seeing like all of the ingredients and just seeing so much complexity. Like you said, we're not used to simplicity. We're used to complexity. We're used to like complex carbs, complex this, complex that, complex.
Yes.
It's just so complicated, but we can be situated in simplicity and find a lot of electricity and more synchronicity when we embrace that, for sure.
Yes.
So, with Zion, being 9 months old, and, someone said in here earlier, they just said, you're just a beautiful mother. You're a wonderful mother as you're taking
Thank
care of
you.
Zion, like right here in real time, showing us how it's done. With you being a mother, at this stage, what has she taught you? And what's one of the things that she's taught you that you never expected? And then what's something that she showed you that maybe you took for granted years ago?
That's a really great question. Yeah. So one thing that she taught me is she's taught me many things, many, many things. I think my daughter taught me how to have confidence in myself. I struggled with that as a child and growing up in college, especially going on to do great things and things that no one in my family has really done, and just going off the beaten path. Because I was never received, because I was so different, I really wore that energetically. Like, no one likes me, no one wants me, no one likes what I'm doing, no one believes in me. I really felt that. And even when I would go to places where I'm around like-minded individuals, because I was so spiritually led, and I was the outlier. I
Mm,
was created to be the outlier, to always have a different perspective. I didn't really have the highest confidence. Even if people looked at me and was like, oh, that's a confident woman, I didn't. But my baby taught me how to be confident. And it's just something that is not spoken.
Right.
It's something that I experience. You know, I can't look up a YouTube video and say how to be confident. It's just something that I feel in my bones.
Yeah.
And so the other question, if you don't mind reminding me of what the other question was.
Right. Has she, you know, have you seen something, have you learned something that you might have taken for granted? Like, what's one thing you might have taken for granted years ago that she showed you? Like, has she given you a feeling of gratitude for something you might have taken for granted? Yeah. Of maybe in your childhood, maybe.
Yes, I think that it's to see everything that I do as awesome. I see her and she's growing and she's getting all of her milestones. Everything that she does is awesome to me. Everything. But for some reason, it's like just having this inner critic that was passed down to me. And then also magnified in romantic relationships, just being hypercritical of myself. But every single thing that my daughter does, I'm like, you go, girl. But then when it comes to me, I'm just like, hold on. How does that translate? So I have to have that same energy because I recognize that one drop from me is a whole gallon to someone else. What I spoke today on this podcast, I can look at it and be like, oh, that was nothing. But to someone, it could be everything. It could be what transforms their life. And so this is something that I'm still being taught this.
Right.
This is a work in progress. This is my life's work, you know, my soul's mission of self-actualizing and self-love, you know, and seeing myself as great and as a success already, because this impacts how we relate to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. You know, they're saying, we see you, we hear you, you know, we're with you. So
Thank you.
thank you for that. And just thank you for your testimonies. Thank you for your story. Thank you for just showing us, you know, in all of your glory, you know, just like letting us bear witness to how you've been, you know, thriving in this way, and not just surviving in this way, but really high vibing in this way, showing people that it can be done, you know, with the mindset, you know, you don't have to always be on the grind, but when you shift your mind,
Yes.
you know, it just takes some time. But like you said, a mustard seed of faith can take us to any place.
Yes.
Just a mustard seed. So
and I'm
beautiful,
on turtle
Christina.
speed. I'm on turtle speed, especially when I recognize that I'm here for the long haul. I told someone, I've always had these big ambitions. I'm going to live to 150. Watch. If you're here to catch it. And because I'm aware of that, it's turtle speed. What's the rush? You know? And we have to make room for the breath. How can we breathe deeply? You know, when we are moving so fast and we feel like we have to get so much done, how can we breathe?
Yes.
So, turtle speed.
Turtle speed. Turtle speed. Let's breathe.
Yes.
We receive that. We receive that. That's the feedback. We need that.
Yes.
You know, we need that. So,
yes.
Ashe, Ashe. Right before you go, is there any place, any offerings, any services, anything that you would like for people to go to if they want to get in tune with you, if they want to get in touch with you? Is there anything that you have available for people that they should go?
Yes. So right now I offer a guide to how I fix my teeth. When I had my baby, I experienced severe enamel loss. Like my teeth were translucent. And being a vegan, being on the plant-based lifestyle and experiencing so many benefits from it, and also having a wonderful pregnancy, I didn't see it coming. Like, why me? And it affected my confidence. And so once I implemented a few things and I got my smile back, I created a guide for people. So that link is in my bio. Also, I do offer health coaching for people who are transitioning from the standard American diet to plant-based whole foods, living and eating. Also, for people who are already vegan and want to go deeper, I also offer advice and mentorship and coaching for that. Also, I offer life coaching. I'm more so of a generalist, so whatever you need, I like to view myself as an oracle. So I have been called by quite a few people. And I'm here to answer any questions that anyone has and to see how I can help people to gain more clarity in their lives. If anyone is in the Louisville, Kentucky area, I do offer juice cleanses as well as meal prep. And I also help women if they are vegan and they need coaching on that process. In their pregnancy, they want a vegan pregnancy. I help women who want to conceive, who are having trouble with that. I can help them on that. And also postpartum mothers. What do you want to, what should you eat? You know, nursing your baby, all of these different things. What can the baby eat? I'm here to help with that as well. So those are some of my services.
Beautiful. Wow. You wear so many hats. You know, you're multi-dimensional.
Yes.
You know?
All that Gemini energy, I have like 8 arms.
Yeah. You're an octopus out here. You're an octopus. I love it. I love it. Health coaching, you know, life coaching, doula work, birthing, you know, postpartum. Oh my goodness. And just, you know, also, yeah, y'all go grab that book. I think the book is called How I Fixed My Jacked Up Teeth or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, how I fixed. They were jacked up. And the thing about me is I like to be relatable. Okay. All of these things all of the gifts that I have to give are things that I actually went through myself. Yeah. And how I was able to overcome them. It's not something that I've been through and I didn't overcome. I overcame these things. Mm-hmm. And so I see how it has worked in my life and the lives of the people who allow me to show up for them. Mm-hmm. I've seen this work transform. And so, yes, this is from lived experience, not just knowledge and information, because sometimes that don't work. Right. You know, you actually have to apply the knowledge and see what results that you get. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, the application of information, you know, yes. That's what we need in the nation. That's what we need. So you gave me the song came in my ear. D'Angelo had a song called I Found My Smile Again.
Oh, nice. I got to check that song out.
Check that song out. It's a good one. It's a good one. So blessings, Christina. Thank you so much. And just enjoy the rest of your beautiful day. You, Jordan, Zion, y'all are really just showing us, you know, just an embodiment of what is possible, of what it looks like, you know. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ciao. Thank you so much, Jerome, for having me.
Oh, pleasure.
Ciao.